Well, welcome everybody. This is actually our first monthly roundup for the European Leaders Learning Community. And we're sort of also learning how we're going to do this. The idea of the monthly roundup is actually to kind of try and share what went on throughout this month in using the theme. And as you know, the theme for this month is the pandemic 6 months on. We want to invite both young and old leaders, leaders that might not have a voice otherwise, to come and share what they have learned, what God is doing in their lives, and yeah, hopefully learn from them. And also the other reason we're doing this is that if you only have time to listen to a 20-minute talk, you can see what and catch up with what's happened throughout the month. And the idea is then hopefully you'd also get inspired to go back and listen to or watch some of the other things that have gone on during this month. So this month we're privileged to have with us three wonderful people. Steve Mayers, most of you will know, he is coordinating the European Leaders Learning Community. He's been a leader for many years. He's been in leadership development for many years, and we're very privileged to have him with us. Emma Bogdan, she is in Craiova in Romania. She's the base leader there with her husband, Mihai. They've been pioneering there and have created a wonderful base there over 5 years, almost 6 this year, next year. We're excited to have you with us, Emma.
Thank you.
Andrea, Andrea is in Ljubljana in Slovenia. She is at the moment the only person in Slovenia, but thankfully is going to be joined very soon with some other people. She is also going to be coordinating our social media. So you'll be hearing a lot more from Andrea. She's on Instagram and Facebook and will be posting things. So we're excited to have you with us also today, Andrea.
Thank you.
Yeah, Steve, I'm going to hand over to you just to share some of your thoughts that you had out of this month.
Yes, thanks, Belinda. Yeah, I was thinking about this word perspective and looking over what's taken place, and my mind went back to 2001, with 9/11. And back then we were thinking, pre 9/11 and post 9/11, very pivotal point. And I think in the future we're going to be looking at 2020 as a real pivotal point in history, and we're going to think pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, and how our lives have changed over that period of time, and how we've learned a new vocabulary over this pandemic season. And just thinking of the fact, I don't know if you're familiar with the transition tunnel, but as you go into this huge transition that we've been through, you come into the middle of this dark tunnel and everything is very insecure. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what the future holds. And I think we're in that place right now. We've got a kind of an inkling of what the future could look like. We're dealing with what God's doing in our hearts over this season, but we're still in this dark season. And I think it was Ina that said, this is like a trumpet call to say that things, could get very much worse. And so it's a preparation time. And I was thinking that with the various speakers and articles, that there's 3 areas that have been covered over this time. And one is our inner life. And Ina touched on that quite deeply. We talked about our inner walk, where she talked about filling up the storehouse spiritually, making sure that we're prepared in ourselves and growing in our intimacy with God and being ready to face all that is coming. We talked about having a Jesus focus, being a people of his presence. And so this is all about having time to be with God, develop our spiritual disciplines and grow in our intimacy. And then the other theme has been our kind of outer ministry life over the season. And we've had words like refocus, recalibrate, evaluate, reflect, and pruning. And so we've been thinking a lot about the shape of our ministry, should we continue on and hope that we're going to go back to a normal? And I think most people are saying no. This is a time to look back and realize things are going to be different. And how should our ministry be restructured? How should we look at it in a different way? Jeff was talking about the fact that the church perhaps should be thinking more about the structure of early church, where it was simple church, where it was house to house. And is that the future for the church? So there's been a sifting and a rethinking about our ministry. And then, of course, the third area is looking forward. So we have words like innovate and compassion and passion and having a steely determination. I love that, what Johnny was sharing. Having a time of creativity, of potential for the future. And I think there's been a lot of thinking about what could ministry look like, what could YWAM 3.0 look like for the future. And although lots of people are saying we're sick of Zoom, actually the future probably will be Zoom and a lot of other programs that are perhaps more online. And personally, I would never have even thought about an online course unless it had been for COVID. So yeah, the future is still a bit unknown, but I think there's a lot of innovation and thinking about what ministry could look like in a different way for the future. So yeah, watch this space.
Thanks, Steve. I realized in my introduction, I didn't actually introduce myself. So for those of you that don't know, I'm Belinda, and I'm actually the convener for Central Europe. And so Emma and Andrea are both in my area. And I kind of know a little bit more about what they've been up to during this time, which is partly why I invited them to share with us. So Emma, you've been involved in some new programs and things that have been going on during this time. So do you want to share maybe a little bit about some of the things that you've been doing?
Yeah. First, we had planned in May 3 weeks of pioneering and leadership course in Craiova, but then suddenly we realized it's not possible to have it on site. So we had to rethink of how to do it. It was right in the beginning. We had no much experience of organizing a course online, but we managed to do 1 week of pioneering and leadership course, and it was great because this way it reached to more than 100 leaders all over the world. So we couldn't do that if we would have been on site. So that was the first thing that we had to quickly rethink and reorganize, but it was God. It was God with us. So I think it ended up pretty well. So that was the first kind of shock for us and what to do. And I think a lot of people are asking, okay, now what? What we are doing? And with this question comes in my mind what Ina just shared this month. She really put a good question. What is God asking of us in this season in Europe? And if we all really stay in quiet and in having time with the Lord, and He will speak to us, what? Don't panic, because our peace and trust comes in our quiet time with the Lord, in our, as Stephen said, inner peace with the Lord. And out of that, I was thinking that, what is God asking from me? What should I do? And I realized that all these months of pandemic, God stirred in me something new, like mercy ministry. I was very mobile during the pandemic because in Romania, you couldn't go out unless you had a declaration, where you go, what's the route that you will take if you go, and they will check, and the police will check you. And we were able to have a paper that to say we are volunteers and we are doing food distribution. And this is how it started, just to have some food and distribute to people in need. And for me, that was like, wow, this is what we need to do in this season. or at least I have to do. And God really used me through that. And like this, we ended up in starting Pioneer a new ministry, Mercy Ministry in Craiova. It's in the beginning. We will see how it will shape, but it's amazing what God is doing, because people are mobilizing to help others. So as Johnny Clark said, we need to be known for our compassion towards people through good deeds, and they will see Jesus in us. And we need to be his hands and feet, Jesus' hands and feet on earth. So this is the direction that God is leading us right now. And I'm not a very merciful person. I'm more of an action doing, but I'm questioning what is God teaching me through this. And I try to connect the need with the resource, and this is kind of my gift, and discover this gift of connecting resources with people in need. And yeah, and one you mentioned, Stephen, you mentioned about the house primary house church, and that was during the pandemic. We had house church with our family and the kids, and we did it in the courtyard. So I was playing guitar, and I think the neighbors were hearing this, and I think this also was something new for us, and with impact. And now we have a relationship with the neighbors, and we just received some masks, and we're doing mask distributions, and we connect more with the neighbors and with other people. So yeah, I think we need to sit down, have time with the Lord, and ask him, okay, God, don't panic, you are still with us. What should we do in this season?
Yeah. I think that it resonates with us for exactly what Steve said. We're kind of in this transition tunnel, going from what was and what will be. And you're getting through the tunnel by seeing what God is saying to you as a base and as a ministry, and that's really exciting. Andrea, what kind of things have you been up to during the pandemic, and what have you learned in this last month out of the the content on the leadership lounges and on the website?
Thank you. I think I will continue with this idea that we are mentioning about tunnel. I remember back in March, God spoke to me, look, I'm doing everything new. It's a verse from the book of Revelation from the Bible. And at that time, I didn't really understand what's this verse about. And then I remember I got home to Slovenia exactly on a day when the lockdown happened. And all of a sudden, I saw everything is different. And we thought it's going to be 1 or 2 weeks in and things are going to go back to normal. But even till now, things are different, are new, and people are all of a sudden open for things that maybe a year ago they didn't even think are possible. So I do feel like we're in this transition time where things are changing. We need to be creative with how we do what we do. I personally experienced in a springtime that all of a sudden everything moved on a Zoom. Different schools, youth groups, everything was like all of a sudden on a Zoom. And I think in some ways it was such a wonderful tool to still be able to do discipleship and different ministries that we were running, but yet at the same time, we were missing this being in personal touch, being together, because we were made to be together, not only on a screen. And it really touched me when I was listening these videos, when Lynn Green said, discipling is not just information. And it really got me, because I was like, yeah, it's not just information, how to do and how to know God more, but you do need to do life together. So it really made me think how now in these times that we are in, and it's uncertain and it's shaky and unknown, we don't know about future. How do we do discipleship more in person, but yet at the same time be respectful and still be aware of situation we are in, like the whole world is in. And another thing that actually really got me was as well when Steve Mayers said, or it was written in an article, we have been learning new language. And it's really so true, you know, things that we didn't think of in the past, or things that maybe were not possible, you know, now all of a sudden we are thinking, we are open for new chances, new possibilities, and we allow God to do something new with that. So to sum up, God is doing something new, and I've been testifying and experienced this verse that was given to me back in March. Look, I'm doing everything new. And with that, we do need to learn a new language, and we do need to be creative, innovative with how we do and what we do. And I'm really excited to see how things are going to go now in fall time and then even in winter. And I think that for us as the Christians, we can bring so much hope to those around. People are so hungry for big questions, asking these big questions about life, because all of a sudden, I feel like culture is fear-driven, and we have so much hope as a Christians. So it's time for us as a Christians to rise up and to bring hope. And even with new language, I'm pretty sure that God is going to lead us how to communicate this new language to people around us.
Amen. That's great. That's a great encouragement, Andrea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have anything else they wanted to add to the mix that hasn't been shared yet?
Yeah, what Lindgren said about discipleship, that it's not just information. I think a lot of questions is regarding how do we do DTSs then? Because DTS is not just discipleship with information. And for us in Craiova, it's the first year that we don't run a DTS. We started the base 5 years ago, and we already have 5 DTSs run. And this year we had to cancel it. Like this month was supposed to have it. So we are like, okay, we cannot do the DTS on site because we need to respect the rules of the country that we live in, and we don't have enough space for running a DTS, and the teachers are not coming. So how do we do discipleship during pandemic, like real discipleship, not only informational discipleship?
Yeah, that's good. It's a good question.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, Steve?
I was going to say that I think over this time, people have been talking about, Zoom fatigue, and, there's such limitations with Zoom and not having this face-to-face or this touch kind of environment. And I think in some ways it's true. We do need the touch, but I think for the new season, we need to be open to the fact that we may not be able to have that high touch for some time. And so we have to kind of get used to the new normal, which might be more Zoom. So let's believe for increased technology, increased ability to be creative with the technology that God's given us. Even one-on-ones online are happening everywhere. And so I know it's not my favorite way of communicating, but the fact is, we've been meeting Europe and Africa over this season, and with hundreds of people, that we can do it much more regularly and have more communication going on. And so I think we need to be thinking about it positively. I would agree with Lynn, but I'd also say, let's do what we can and make the most of it and be positive about it.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Steve.
Sorry, another thing that we started to do is to go on the streets actually and meet people. And we said, if each staff has one person to disciple, one person for 1 year, then and we can meet for a coffee, keep the distance, but still have that face-to-face connection, one-on-one. I think also this can be another way of doing discipleship, and not as a DTS, but doing one-to-one discipleship, and it's easy and we can all do it.
That's great. Thanks, Emma.
I also know. noticed one thing that, you know, in the past we were used to travel and go outside and receive people from outside. And I feel like in these times, if we just look around our neighborhoods or our church, there is so much need for discipleship. So we really need to, we don't need to travel far away or go far away to, you know, like reach out to people or to lost or people on the street. I agree with you, Emma, what you say, going out on the street. So this is something we noticed here as well. And it's such a cool thing to see, you know, it's just right in front of us. We just need to open our eyes.
Yeah, I think in this season, people are definitely having to do more local ministry because you don't have a chance to go overseas and to do outreach elsewhere. And also during this time, as Steve was mentioning, and I think Ina spoke about it, Johnny spoke about it, I think everybody's touched on it really. But I think Mike Oman actually really brought it together. And especially in this time of global prayer that we're doing as YWAM, we are really, instead of seeking to make him known, which is what we're known for, getting out there and doing things, we're actually having to spend that time getting to know him better. And as Mike Oman said, like bringing in that balance between, you know, making him known, but also knowing the one we're making known. And I think that we need to be careful that in this time we don't lose out on that as well, that inner strength and that inner peace with God. Thank you, guys. This has been a great time, and we're going to end off now. It's gone so quickly. It's too short, but I think it's a good wrap up. I hope everyone who's been watching or listening in can kind of has got a taste of what all of the content on the website and on the Facebook page are about. So thank you, guys. Bless you, and yeah, until next time.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for having us.
Nice to be with you.